exciting. You want to date. Oh, maybe it wasn't. It's not exciting for you, but for me, it's exciting. Especially like before I even got to the point of being exciting. You know that it was this highly exciting because you're like, hey, what will your in-law say?
Oh, that one.
Okie dokie, we're about to start.
And we have started.
Okay, as always.
Funmi, my name is Funmi.
And I'm Affi. We're just talking, unfiltered talk, really, about our life as widows
And mothers. Doing it alone.
Yeah, doing it alone.
Parenting our children, working, studying at the time. And dating.
That's exciting.
What's
Maybe
exciting
not for
about
everyone.
it?
It's exciting. You want to date. Oh, maybe it wasn't. It's not exciting for you, but for me, it's exciting. Especially like before I even got to the point of being exciting. You know that it was this highly exciting because you're like, hey, what will your in-law say?
Oh, that one.
Did you ever have that?
No,
thought?
it never crossed my mind because I wasn't interested in what they say. I'm sorry.
Well, the thing is, it's not as if one is interested as much as, you know, that thing. You just have that guilt, like, hey,
Yes.
what will they say?
What will
Is it
people
too
say?
soon?
Mine was more like,
know?
what will people say? Mm-hmm. Yes. I
Did you
get
go
that.
through that period of you couldn't post pictures because your husband was dead and you didn't want people to think that you're already happy and over it, even
Yeah.
though you were living in a depressed state or something? But
Yeah.
you know, you just like to take picture and you're like, oh, this picture is nice. So, and usually your go-to is just to post it on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or something, and then you'll catch yourself immediately thinking, what will people say?
I went through that.
I did do.
But it's crazy, you know. Like we're seeing ourselves through the lens of others when we should maybe not care as much. And you'd be surprised. Some people don't really care, but the few people that are bad belly and they want to comment and say, because I've had people tell me, I remember there was a day I wore this, you know, I like when I wear my outfit, I like to look for matching glasses. So I remember it was a blue, just like something like this. So I had this blue glasses on, and she was like, hey, your husband died and you're doing matching glasses with, you're matching your glasses with your outfit. And that person was a friend. And I'm not talking, this was like 1 year after he died. So I got a sense of, you can't be happy because people don't want you to be, you know, to be yourself, you're going through a process of all those processes of grief or loss. And you've come out.
Come out.
You don't really come out. Yeah, it's a cycle, repeated cycle. But maybe at that time you're just feeling happy.
You're getting better. Yeah. Oh, it's one of those days where things just look happier or something for you.
And then somebody said, "Now what for you? You're doing matching outfit. Hey." So she made me feel like I didn't deserve to look fine, despite spending 1 year. I don't know whether you did that in your own culture, but with me, I had a year where I didn't wear big earrings, the hoops. I didn't wear elaborate jewelry. I didn't even do makeup. Everything was just toned down.
Oh, I didn't have that.
I did.
After the burial, I just stayed off work for like a week or two, and I was going crazy. I needed to work.
You needed a distraction.
I needed to, yes. So I just went right back at work. And then because my work is, you know, media, so I needed to make up, you know, and stuff and look good and dress well. But then, you're looking so nice in the outside, but inside you're all messed up. Oh,
You're
God.
crumbling.
Do you know one of the things I remember? Because I mentioned work. I remember very well that period. I had a mental block. I couldn't remember things. Like, I would literally not remember things, forget things, and I was getting scared because my work, with the kind of work I was doing, you needed to remember things. You needed to know what next you're asking people or what you're going to say, you know.
Widow's block.
To that, and my darling, my God, it was blocked like for months. It took a long. I thought myself I was turning to what
Someone
is
with Alzheimer's or something.
Yeah, or yes, or Dundee that I didn't know Buki. That's how we say that. Like you don't know Buki again. Like you just weren't intellectual again. You. I didn't know that it was because of my emotional state.
Widowhood would do
That
that
was
to you.
why
Yeah.
I was going through that phase. So yeah, and that takes me back to how people view us. And in fact, I should ask you that question. How do people why do people view widows, especially, maybe it happens to widowers as well, in a way that, oh, you're not entitled to be happy for a while, or you're not expected to do certain things like post your pictures on social media, like laugh too hard, like go out, no, you shouldn't go out, that kind of thing. So you tend to, you want to, but then because you know that, you keep thinking, what would people say? What would people say? Or why do we also feel that way, that, oh, every time we want to do something, we're like, oh, what would people say? And then it tones us down.
First of all, I think we are coming from, in where we are at now is a world where everything is on the internet. Like, it's very easy for you to make friends on the internet. It's very easy to put yourself out there on the internet. So because of the ease that attracts, so you tend to want to weigh whatever it is you want to put out there. And you're like, how would people judge you? And the reason why they judge you is because they can see you. It's different from maybe like 30 years ago or 20 years ago when we didn't have smartphones. You could be doing your widowing, in quotes, in the corner of your house or your office, and a lot of people are not privy to that experience. But now, one of the things that I believe has come with the era of internet is we are more open with our struggles. So the more people see us, the more they want to see that, oh, yes, you're struggling, and they want to match the idea that you're struggling with the face that comes with it. So if you're saying, oh, I had a terrible time yesterday, and then you put a happy picture like 2 minutes after you posted that, they might not be able to reconcile the two, and they are judging you like, are you sure you are having a tough time being a widow, really? Whereas for most widows, they are really going through hell. Even 5 years after, 10 years after, as long as, even when they're widows that are married, they are still talking about their experiences, So the experience is people they just want to match that, and they are not seeing the aesthetics. So that's one problem.
It's not just about social media or anything. Even around you in your circle, you find out even some people at work, you find out that some family members, some neighbors, some in-laws actually expect the same thing.
They do.
Like
They do.
You should tone it down. You shouldn't be out, and stuff. And I'm like, so
you
if
shouldn't talk
this
so much.
was your own, it was happening to your sibling or something.
Was happening.
How would you feel about it?
I don't know.
How would you do?
I don't know. Well, there's something about you can't really understand what anyone is going through until you're walking in their shoes. So I found people that weren't widows, and then they became widows, and they now said to me, oh, I get it now. Then when I was sharing, and I'm all about sharing my experience, every time I talk about the things I'm going through with people, I post it out there. But, people who are not, they can't relate because it's not their experience. So it's easy for them to say, oh, she's just talking. And I found people that have told my sister or someone that is close to me that tell her that she's oversharing. Because people are people are discomfited by grief or loss. They like to be happy all the time. They like the aesthetics of being happy. If you're having an anniversary, okay, put the pictures out there. But if you are grieving, we don't want to see.
Yeah, like you don't show us happy things at that point, because you're grieving, so you should have a sad life.
Yes, and keep it to yourself.
And the funny thing is, for as long as they want, it's not even as long as you are ready. For as long as they deem it fit that, yes, you can come out now. You should stay that way, stay unhappy, and sad.
They're contradictory, things that we hear and sense from people, what they expect us to be and what they think we should be and what we are actually. I was going to say something else following up to the question he asked me. Another reason why I think people judge us harshly is because maybe generations before, anything that has to do with widowhood, even in the Bible, you find widowhood is because they are usually exploited. So they have a covering from God, because anyone that is a widow, it is expected that people are trying to take advantage of them. And for people who are being taken advantage of, it is very easy for them to, what's the word? For them to be seen as saintly, and like, look at most of the examples of widows in the Bible. They struggle a lot. They go through a lot of horrible things, and people like to believe that is a typical example of a widow that you.
That's the picture of a widow. That's a picture. Look.
So what we want to be seeing is that definition of widowhood: people struggling, people who need to be defended, people who need other people to come and rescue them.
Who should look helpless.
Yes, you should be vulnerable, and indeed we are vulnerable. But that is that picture that people usually picture, that comes to their minds when they think about widowhood.
But you could be vulnerable yet strong, because yes, you're vulnerable in the sense that you can easily break down because you've gone through an emotional thing. Not just an emotional, you've gone through a devastating event, loss in your life. But that shouldn't define the person that you are. A strong person can suffer a loss that makes you vulnerable at that point, know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you're weak.
No.
You can be vulnerable but not weak.
But I would like to be weak sometimes.
I know what you mean, But the thing is, we don't want to be looked at with pity.
No.
We don't want to be looked at that you must always look miserable because you're a widow. You should have this certain look of sadness. You can't remarry after 3 months or something because it looks like it's a taboo. Like, no. You have to mourn for a certain period, and you have to go through some emotional cycle that's towards the negative side.
So we judge women that jump right into marriage, like 1 year, 2 years after. You say she didn't mourn well enough.
Women.
Yeah, we women are judging them.
But men.
Oh my God.
Widowers, that, they lost their wives. They are actually given that liberty and freedom to get married within 3 months, within 6 months, within 1 year. Oh, and I've seen that happen.
Time and time.
I know people who that has happened to, or who are in that kind of situation. But then when a woman falls into that category, she is labeled.
She's labeled. We extend grace to men that we do not extend to ourselves as women. We say, men cannot cope because men are supposed to be helpless. But what about women? We are supposed to be the weaker sex. Yes, yet we are expected to rise to the occasion of this grief and loss and whatever it makes of us, and just go with the flow, but not try to seek happiness. It's a taboo.
It's too early.
It's too early.
You have to wait a certain period.
And then when you wait too long, you don't even want to do anything again.
But that's another conversation again for another day.
Yeah.
But seriously, when is the right time for a widow to actually, or a widower to start dating?
Honestly, I can't answer that. I like to think
at
that
least for those who would want to date again, who would want to get married again, have some romance in their lives, when would be the right time, after the loss of a loved one?
I think it depends on what your mind tells you. It's not about what your body tells you, because your body would be telling you from the very...
That one is another conversation. What your body tells you.
What your body tells you is different from what your mind,
too.
Your heart tells you. Also, you should make sure that you're not venturing into a new relationship because you feel that everyone else is doing it, or you're the only lonely person. You might end up falling into the wrong hands. It's all about your mind. Is your mind prepared to have someone else in your life to look after, to be looked after by that person, to be vulnerable with?
You are even talking about it from the perspective of you as a widow.
Yeah.
Now, I'm talking about from the perspective of others, because we already talked about what is expected of you. You know, people expect certain things, that you have to run a certain period, you have to look a certain way because you're a widow, you've just, you've lost your husband, so you have to not come out, you have to do certain things. I mean, there are people who go through certain traditions, like they have to wear black all through a certain period. I mean, I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go through all of that. And I'm grateful to my in-laws that, we don't, and my people, that we don't have such tradition. But then I'm not dissing people who have that. I respect that a lot. If it's your tradition and you can keep to it, go ahead and do it. However, what I'm talking about is the same standard they used to want you to look a certain way because you're a widow. It's the same standard they used to look at. You cannot date now because you've lost your husband. So 2
You're not
years
respecting
after,
his memory.
do you get? 2 years after, they still expect, it's too soon now. When did the husband die? That she's already, you can't even flaunt, like, you want to even take picture with the man and put, the new person wants to date. You're looking for trouble.
Yo.
Like, you can't do that. So why is it like that? And we're asking, when do you think is the right time, from your perspective, for a widow to start dating? Do you even think, for some people, do you think it's even appropriate
A widow to start
for a
life
widow
again?
to even think about dating again, being with another man? Not many people would like that.
Not many people will like it on their behalf.
They seem to forget that you're still a human being.
And a young one at that.
And blood
with
is running
feelings.
through your veins,
no.
which is another conversation for another deal.
That's
But-
why you see, we is the sense of already we are condemning ourselves as widows. We are judging ourselves harshly as well, because underlining all the bravado we are putting up, we are thinking, if, just like you're saying, if I use this picture now, a new person, how will people feel? Or if I go on a dating site and start searching for another Mr. Is he Mr. Right? Or like I would say, Mr.
somewhere
Boaz.
there.
Mr. Yes.
That's true, Mr. Boaz, actually.
Yeah,
Because
Mr. Boaz.
Ruth got a Boaz.
Yeah,
That's
she did.
true.
So, what am I projecting to people? So, if you don't walk through all the whys and the reasons, and they are not justified well enough, then maybe you're not ready to move on. And also, it's fine not to be ready to move on. It's fine to
Take
to
your time.
to take your time, or not
To
even
heal.
want to do anything, not even want to date anymore at all. It's fine. For some people, the partners that they were with, made it, they had such a lovely experience. So it's kind of like a cap on whatever they want to have in the future. Like, I'm not sure anyone can love me like this man did. I know a friend of mine that has that view. And for some other people, it's like, oh, I had a terrible experience marrying this man, so I don't want to try again. So it's okay anyway. But if one is willing to do that, I don't think condemning that woman for wanting to try again should be the first thing that should come out, of people's mouth to them. Like, why are you starting? Well, that means you didn't love your husband. I remember there was a post I put on Facebook, something similar to this conversation we are having, and somebody said, "But you are still married." I said, "To whom? To whom? Oh, you need to show me my husband."
Jesus.
Because when they say for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, till death. When we are making that vow before man and God, that was what we meant. So if the husband dies or the wife dies, then it's taking that you're no longer
You're
married.
already parted, yeah.
You're
True.
parted. And then somebody is not saying, but you're still married. I say, show me the husband. Show me.
So this is the thing. I mean, I'm sorry, but for some people, it's ignorance, that makes them speak that way. For some others, they're just not thinking. Like, as in, you're not putting yourself in this person's shoes. You're just judging, basically, standing afar and judging people. And that's one of the things we need to not do. We need to actually cut away from. And this is not just about judging a widow, or a widower. It's about life generally, just not judging people, because you need to, first of all, put yourself in people's shoes and see if you can, can you even imagine what it is they've gone through or they are going through
Can
before
you walk
begin
in those
to,
shoes?
Yes, talk about such things with them. So basically, you mentioned Boaz, and I think it's one of the examples that people need to look at. Naomi, lost her husband and her sons, and Naomi decided, that's it for me. I'm not doing anything. Naomi had daughter-in-laws, Ruth and Orpah. And of course, Orpah left and went to her own people, and who knows, she probably may have gotten married there. We don't know the story. But then Ruth followed Naomi, and in fact, Naomi, as a mother-in-law, was even the one that was pushing Ruth to Boaz. We don't know how long it took her, how long the husband died and everything, but
there was no time frame specified.
Exactly. But the fact is that Ruth and Naomi realized, and they knew that this was a time for this.
Absolutely.
So never forget that when you talk about the story of Ruth and Naomi, and you talk about, these are the ancestral roots of Jesus and everything. Well, we're talking about a widow who got married to another man, okay? And Jesus came out from that root.
I was going to quote, there's something about, we are not trying to make this, Christian or biblical, but
no.
I remember I can't find the scripture, but in that Ruth, there was something Naomi said to Ruth and said, my daughter, will I not seek rest for you so that it will be well with you? And that sums up what widows go through. We are not at rest. It is not well. As much as we present a front, a facade,
True.
that we are having it together. No.
And this is not about marriage or dating or anything. No, this is not just about that. And it doesn't matter how much money you're making. The fact is,
even if you're making money, you're not even resting. You're calculating bills. So Naomi saw what Ruth was going through, because Ruth was the one that was fending for Naomi now and herself, when they came back to Israel. And she was like, oh no, you're going through so much. My daughter, will I not seek? Let me seek rest for you so that it will be well with you. Because if you're not at rest, it's not well with you. You're not at peace. You're constantly striving to be something else where someone else was that thing. And that was what Naomi saw. Who was the mother-in-law? And look at it now. There are some in-laws, most in-laws will say you cannot remarry. But Naomi saw that this lady, she needs to remarry. And that was what led her to linking Ruth and Boaz together. So I always look at that as a biblical reference point to knowing that if you lose your partner, God is okay with you remarrying.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's very much okay with it.
You too should be okay with a widow or a widower remarrying.
Who is moving forward?
Dating, remarrying. You shouldn't even be the one having a problem with it. You should be like Naomi. Encourage them, pray for them to find the right one, because it's not easy.
No.
Pray for them to find the right one. Instead of judging these people, judging us, because it's not these people, I am judging us.
I'm even judging myself in the first place. Then you want to add your own judging to my judging.
Do you know the guilt of saying, oh my God, when will I, in fact, I can't even imagine, can I imagine being with another man? And you're like, oh my God. I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't.
Being vulnerable. Natasha Bedin feels, there was this song that she sang. She said, I pulled down my defenses, down by my clothes. I'm learning to fall with no safety net to cushion the blow, something like that. So she's just saying that I've gone through a lot. And then it's something to wrap my head around, trying to strip, and not physically alone now. Let me be myself before you. Bear myself. How easy would that be? And so I'm walking my path through that, and then people are saying, now what for you? Is this what you should be doing? So we should know that we should seek our own happiness, as long as it's fine for us and our children.
Yeah.
And whatever the society says, it's always society. They will judge you and they will move forward. They will move on with their lives. Just
even
live
your children
life
at some point will move on.
They will move on. Exactly. It's not easy. It's not easy. Coming to that, getting to that point alone, it's not easy. So
I'm Affi.
And I am Funmi.
Thanks for staying with us.
Thanks for listening.